everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of the Evil Lucario interview. In this part, we're going to be focused more on his actual time streaming. So, how he got into streaming, his original YouTube videos he made back in the day, all that sort of stuff. Hope you enjoyed part 1. Part 2's got a lot of interesting questions in it, as well as at the end, finding out what he's hoping for in a future boss. So join me as I head into the mind of Evil Lucario. So let's move in to your streaming stuff. So did you start by streaming, or did you start with YouTube, or what? How did
I
you
started
get
with YouTube because I had a MacBook Air.
Okay.
Can you stream off of a MacBook Air?
Maybe 144p might do it, you know?
144p,
Yeah.
200 bit rate, 5 FPS. That's the best streaming quality you'll ever get on my MacBook Air at the very least. So I was stuck at recording at like 10 or 15 FPS. To be fair though, I actually did have like a Windows PC beforehand, but I didn't really think about streaming. I first thought about YouTube at first, but for YouTube, I didn't really take it seriously. What I did for YouTube, I just uploaded like some PVM kills. That's it. That's literally all I did. I just uploaded like a next solo, a Kalpha King solo. I uploaded next solo with no food with a shield only. Virago bomb tanking, except stuff like that. I didn't really take it seriously, nor did I really make any guides, etc. So I just uploaded PVM stuff like that, and I initially recorded off of an old Windows PC that I have in a room behind me, etc. But it's a piece of junk nowadays, absolutely trash, even back then. But I did record off of that initially, and I did record some stuff there. And like you can like you see like a quote unquote era of interfaces. Like you can first see like my Windows PC because it's like 1080p, etc. And then you can see my my MacBook Air, which is like 720 to 810p. And then to the modern era now, where I'm back to 1080p at max FPS and max graphics, etc.
You could
Pretty
see
funny.
when you change your hardware.
Yeah, basically. So, but I've always had like a huge interest in streaming, and the fact that I was never able to stream until 2018 was killing me inside because like, man, I could do this so much better than everyone else. This is actually what I thought back then. And nowadays I do recognize that streaming is harder than people give credit for. But I was like, man, I could do PVM while being trying to be entertaining. I don't know if I'm entertaining, but you know, your miles may vary on that. But I think I could like do the stream business while PVMing. I have good multitasking skills. I want to try streaming. Didn't get that opportunity until 2018, which kind of sucked. But that was a time when I really started getting into streaming and streamed mostly every day ever since. There just recently I took like a week break, but the break because I had a huge canker sore on my tongue, so talking sucked. I couldn't do anything with streaming. So if I ever took breaks, it was either because I was busy with something, or just like out of commission, or the very rare instances I just woke up late. It's like, I don't want to stream today. I am tired, etc., etc.
Well, yeah, sometimes just having that little break can, help reset your mental sort of position.
Having that like mental refresh really helps. Like you can't cut down a tree with a rusty saw. So polish up your saw or clean up your mental state and then go back at it, you know? Eventually you just gotta go sharpen it, etc.
So you've always streamed on Twitch, or have you tried any other platforms?
I never streamed on YouTube. I'm not streaming on Mixer. Unless Mixer gives me a big deal, then I'm in it for the money.
Yes.
kind of. But Because yeah, but either way, I only stream on Twitch as of now, really, and I don't think I'll ever switch to YouTube because my base is on Twitch.
Yeah.
So, you know,
It's hard to translate them across.
even if you like get paid to switch to Mixer, you're gonna lose most of those people. That happens with everyone.
Especially with a
Sorry.
slightly smaller game like RuneScape, where there is kind of a
Yeah.
dedicated community on Twitch for people that watch.
I don't even know if there's a dedicated community for RuneScape on YouTube. Is a thing.
I don't know about RS3. Old school, obviously there are, but
Okay.
I've
Okay.
not seen much for RS3 at all.
This might have changed because it's been a few months, maybe like 6+ months. But when I checked the RS3 directly from Mixer, it seemed very, very quiet. Like even more quiet than Twitch directory, unfortunately.
Yeah,
It's a shame.
All the names everyone knows are on Twitch, and it's just become the home, I
Right.
suppose.
And it helps that the official RuneScape channel does not stream on YouTube or Mixer. They only stream on Twitch. So that's the de facto streaming platform for RuneScape players because of Jack.
Yeah. So what would you say your favorite part about streaming is?
Interacting with the community, hands down. That has to be your thing about a streamer. If you don't care about your community, you have no business in being a streamer. Full stop. I feel like you have to care for everyone, and you can't just put on like a brave face and to do that. You have to like legitimately care about your base because these are the people that will take the time out of the day. I'm sure you heard that before to watch you, and that is something that you won't notice that until you lose it. Basically, you have to like really appreciate that there are people that will watch you because it is you or whatever you're doing, etc. And you have to be appreciative of that. 100%. Doesn't matter anything else. You just have to appreciate your community and all that.
So do you think there's any way RuneScape could be better suited to streaming, or if there's any like new things they could add that would help?
I don't know. I feel like that making streamable content in the first place kind of feel like the wrong way of going about it. I think making good content first inherently makes it more fun to stream,
Yeah.
etc. I feel like, you know what I mean? Because like making a streamer bait, I feel like doesn't do anyone any favors. But if you make it good in the first place, then people will stream in the first place. To be fair though, I think Telos was sort of built with streaming in mind, with like the whole like the initially at launch you couldn't turn off that scrolly wheel of drops and stuff like that. That was done to like make it more exciting, but I don't think that really worked. And I feel like that stuff like that, in my opinion, would be more of like a mistake than anything else. And that focus on making the best possible content you can, and then make it streamable. And then streamers have to decide how do you make this streamable. Basically, it's a two-way street. Basically, Jace has to provide the content for people to enjoy, but the streamers also need to make their job to make that content fun to watch and engage in with the streamer and the chat. Basically, it falls on both parties.
Yeah. Although, I mean, it does, but it also doesn't because Jagex don't necessarily need to make anything for streamers.
No. Their first priority should be actual players. Streamers should be more of like happy accident, if you ask me.
Yeah, for established games especially, like obviously it's been going nearly 20 years, so.
Oh my god, so old. Oh my god. Okay, but yeah, that's basically how I feel about streamable content. Streamable content is the way it is because it's fun and engaging, not because it's streamer bait.
So, do you reckon stuff like Deadman mode, Twisted League would work in RS3? I don't know if you've looked into that stuff much.
I haven't looked too deeply into it, but I've never ever been a fan of esports. Like I do not like the concept of esports because um it feels like it goes back to what I was talking about streamable content. I feel like that it feels a lot of esports stuff feels a bit baity towards like esports stuff. Obviously there's some grassroots stuff like the fighting game community, stuff like that. And those grow a bit more organically. They don't really like force it down. But I feel like that it's okay if it's like more of like a fun thing, but I don't really like the idea of like esports. Now, competition, on the other hand, stuff like seasonal high scores, which you had in the past, I'm fine with that. And I think competition as a whole would be pretty interesting to see just be done by multiple people. And stuff like Deadman mode and Twisted League, etc. Those can also work. But the second you include prize money into that, like they did with Deadman mode, I believe,
Yeah.
I think
Yes, they did.
that's
Yeah.
that's when I have a hard turn and say no, keep that out of RuneScape. In most games, in fact, I feel like that tailoring a game to be esport friendly is the wrong move 99% of the time. Make a good game first. Make good everything else first, and then you can worry about esports. It's just that most esports is used as like a loss leader to get more advertising into it, which if it works, but most of the time it probably doesn't work. And I feel like that RuneScape probably shouldn't engage in esportsy stuff like that. But if they were to make more fun stuff like Twisted League, I would have no problem with it. And I would see it as harmless, you know?
So do you think there's a reason why it seems that RuneScape viewers, whenever a RuneScape streamer plays a different game, their viewership completely dies?
Because RuneScape is a very esoteric game. There's no other game like RuneScape in the fact of how it plays and how you maximize efficiency. Esoteric being like highly specialized, by the way. So, like RuneScape has long ticks, and while some people might see that as a negative, I and a few others see as like a slight positive in the fact that it's very easy to optimize your gameplay, and there's like a more set, clear-cut way of increasing your efficiency in anything, be it skilling or combat. And that's what gives RuneScape its draw. And there's no other game like it. And that's one reason I feel like that RuneScape uh players like just like watching RuneScape because like it's the only type of game. And this can obviously like spin out like just like a tick sim in general. There's also like the variety of like skills
Yeah.
or stuff like that that can also influence it. There's also the fact that like RuneScape can also uh can be used as like a I like background game, I guess. Like you listen to someone playing RuneScape while you play RuneScape on your own, and that's a bit soothing in of itself, I suppose. I don't really know how viewers work like that. I'm just actually from here on out, this is more South, but I can tell you for certain that RuneScape is a very esoteric game to stream and play. Like you really have to accept what RuneScape is if you want to be playing it long term.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean.
Yeah, when I first started playing, I found the tick system the worst thing in the world because I
Yeah,
don't know
it's
but then like sometime in the last 6 months or so, you kind of it just fits and you get into like a rhythm with it, which
I liken it to a slight rhythm game to a degree with more generous windows of hitting quote unquote notes. Well, RuneScape it really benefits a lot from like if you have like a sense of rhythm from something like music, playing music, I think that could probably help you in RuneScape because you get like a bum 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 thing for like ticks basically, and that could help set your mind towards like, okay, he's gonna do this at this exact tick, and there you go, and basically stuff like that. I think having like a music background might help you with RuneScape, because of how the ticks work. But then again, I feel like having a music background would help you in any action game.
yeah.
But
So what software and stuff do you use for your videos and streaming?
So for streaming, I'll start with that first. I first used OBS, but now I dedicate OBS as my main software, main recording software, basically for RuneScape and anything else I need, like desktop capture or like other games. Uh, for streaming itself, I use Streamlabs, and it's like the ultimate tool for streaming because just recently they added really good stuff like selective recording. So I technically don't need OBS anymore to record because I can just use selective recording to omit some stuff from the stream and to put it on local recording, or vice versa if I ever wanted to. But yeah, Streamlabs is super super good, and I cannot recommend it enough to anyone that's looking to get into streaming. And it's remarkably stable too, even though I think it's still in beta, but because it's not like version 1, it's like
I mean,
0 point something.
stuff's in beta for so long nowadays.
That is true. I mean, Fortnite's technically early access, right? But 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 yeah, Streamlabs 10 out of 10 program for streaming. Absolutely cannot recommend it enough, basically. And OBS is also great. For video editing itself, there's 3 programs I used. One is free, the other 2 are paid. The first free program is a program called Shoutouts. This is a really really good program, and for free, and it's very easy to understand and export. And if you need something to edit your videos quickly for something very simple, then Shotcut's your answer. If you want to pony up some money, you can use I currently use Vegas Pro, but I used to use Adobe Premiere. Adobe Premiere I prefer, but I just cancel it because I want to save money. So I bought Vegas Pro off a Humble Bundle sale for $25, and I've been using that ever since. It's not as user friendly, and there's a lot of features that I miss from Premiere, but it gets the job done better than Shotcut at the very least. So that's something.
Cool. And audio recording using what mic you got?
I use a Samsung C 301, I believe it's called.
Yeah,
With like a standard $10 pop filter.
does the job.
Yeah, it does the job.
Mm-hmm. So, would you say you've got a favorite video you've ever made on YouTube? Hopping back to YouTube.
When I look back at YouTube, my favorite video I've ever made was my P5 Telos guy, because that was the one that put me on the map. I felt like I did the most I could with what I knew, and I laid out everything as concisely and easy to understand as possible. And it showed because that's my most viewed video ever, as I alluded to before. And I am absolutely 100% proud of that to this day. And I don't know if I could top that ever. Even with better video quality, production values, I don't think I'll ever top it.
So, have you got any tips for anyone that's looking to get into streaming or YouTube?
For YouTube, I'm actually not too sure because I don't understand how people started watching some dude who just uploads PVM kills. I think I just came at the right place at the right time. So in terms of getting big at YouTube, I honestly to God do not know. And I consider myself incredibly lucky I have the base I do now. Because this is gonna also tie into streaming, but you have to give like people a reason to watch your videos. And like everyone has seen like an Iron Man progress series or whatever. Everyone has seen like something else. It's a crowded market there, and I'm not gonna mince words in saying that it's very, very difficult to try to break out of that. So you have to do something a lot more novel, usually like this channel right here, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good, honestly speaking.
Nice
I've been going back to watch some videos as well before this interview, which is always good. But you have to give people a reason to watch your videos, and that is very very hard when originality is very very hard to come by. It's not because it's not necessarily like the said upcoming YouTubers' fault. It's just that it's already been mined in terms of what can be achieved. On Twitch, however, that's a lot easier, and I feel I can give a lot more definitive advice there. Uh, this goes back into what I said about YouTube. You have to give people a reason to watch. Make that anything. Use that to your advantage because say you're not that good at the game, who cares? Because there are other people that are not that good at the game, like DR Solo, etc. He gets by because he's he's a more charismatic guy and a lot more entertaining, and people watch it because of him alone. They don't care too much about what he's doing, or maybe they do if he's trying something new at like a boss or whatever. Maybe then people would tune in just to watch. But either way, you have to give someone a reason to watch. Be it your unbelievable skill like Couchy does, even though he interacts with chat via text by typing in chat, which is very like what's the word
Old
I'm looking
school, I
for?
suppose, isn't it? It feels like it's
Old
from
school?
like
Kind of
10 years
old
ago.
school.
That's sort of how people would do it, like IRC, just
Kind of,
chatting.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. But it's like, yeah, he would just like type occasionally in chat, or like if he messed up, sometimes just say like "fook" in chat. Then what if he messed up, or like just I don't know, express himself that way in chat without using his actual voice, stuff like that. But people mostly watch for his insane skill at PVM that no one will ever touch.
Hmm.
Uh and then you just got other people that have a balance between uh good skill and good interaction with the chat, with good enough personality and charisma, etc. You have to you have to give people a reason to watch. And if you are lacking in one area, you have to really make it up for it in another area. And you're not gonna find those answers immediately at the start of your streaming career. You'll find those answers when you just keep doing it for months and months and months and months. So the best advice I can give is do not ever give up if you really want to make it something you want say you're proud of, you know. And actually I think I lost it.
It's just that consistency, keep it going,
Consistency
finding
as a
your
whole.
niche as well. Yeah.
Yeah, your niche, you really need to find your niche. Be it if you want to just like have fun, screw around, if you want to show off your unstoppable skill, if you want to just do whatever, but try to be entertaining and or try to be informative while making something else look more interesting to get into, etc. Then whatever that thing is, make it your own and go from there.
So a bit of a random sort of off-topic one that I didn't include in the list of questions before, but what about clue scrolls and stuff? Are you much of a clue scroll person?
Can I get out of here? I don't like clues.
No.
I do not like clues. No, I absolutely do not like clues. And part of that is because I don't really like to use Alt 1. So I'm it's kind of my fault because I don't get to like skip past a lot of stuff, but I don't like clues at all. But mad props to those that can do clues like all day, like Duty and My Crew, I believe,
Yeah.
and etc.
I
They
can't.
do a ton of clues. I'm like,
Mhm.
this is something I will never ever get good at because I do not want to get good at something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
But that's just me. And clue scrolls have their own skill ceiling and skill floor to taking into account that could potentially be more complex than a lot of other things in the game that can touch PVM as well, which but it's also a lot more approachable. So that's why a lot of people say they prefer clue scrolls over PVM because it's a lot more approachable, it's a lot more immediately graspable, and it's a lot more exciting too when you open caskets. When you open that die, it's like a big OMG moment there.
I
You
mean,
know,
there's a lot less risk as well in getting
a
into
lot
it.
less
There's a
risk
lot
as well.
less
Yeah, the
efficiency
only
loss.
thing, the only risk you get is getting 10 million Celtic knots in a row at elite glue. That's the only risk you get, and it's like, why did I ever decide to do this elite glue that I got from my Triskelion key? But that's really about it. I don't like clues. End of story.
I've realised there's one that I skipped over earlier. It's quite an important question.
Oh boy.
What would you do for a new boss? What would be your mechanical ideas for a new boss in the game? A top tier one, obviously.
Before Telos came out, one of my favorite bosses was actually Calphi King, which is widely unpopular because of how people do not like how it can randomly heal itself, etc. But one thing I've always appreciated about Calphi King, and this applies to only Calphi King and no other boss in the game, it's the only boss that has some degree of randomness to it in how it approaches itself. And it was the first example of a boss that could be influenced directly by you in a proactive state of mind, basically. So like you could stun it to skip a special attack, you could stun it to force a special attack early, etc. Basically. So I want something to bring that back. Maybe not like the same as Calphi King, but I feel like that's something could be added for that. And I also want to go away from attack rotations. Like 3 attacks you do spec A, 3 attacks you do spec B, 3 attacks you do spec A, stuff like that. I think that kind of thing for the next big boss, I think we need to move past that and instead get something a bit more random and something that's more deadly because of that. You have to stay on your toes all the time. And I think that part of the reason why bosses can be mastered so quickly is because there's a set rotation in how they approach their rotations, and you know exactly what is coming up, so you can prepare immediately for it. By making it random, you need to rely more on your reflexes and stuff like that, and be able to adapt on the fly for a good DPS rotation. And I think that enough RNG in boss attacks and mechanics like that will make it a far more interesting boss than yet another boss that just does, okay, we do 7 attacks before the first spec, 3 attacks, and then another spec, and then 3 attacks, another spec, and then we repeat ad infinitum. I feel like that I I don't really think that has a place anymore for endgame bosses. And I feel like that's partly the reason why some people may find combat a bit stale, because we have stuck to that formula ever since Legions, really. Like Calphi King was the only one that decided, hey, we might do different attacks in between these special attacks. Like maybe you'll get an incendiary shot like later on range phase instead of like at this specific point where you have to pay a bit more attention, even though KA doesn't do all that much damage. But
Yeah.
that's one thing. Another thing would be I need to think about this for a bit, but I want them to move away from like a DPS meta of like building your damage boosting ultimate and unleashing your specials. This might sound a bit contradictory to what I said about like the tutorial that teaches you about building your damage ultimate and all of that, but I feel like a boss that could break away from that sort of rotation and force you to adapt and do something else that's not as like standard, to put it simply. I think that would also be really, really good. That's also part of why I like Telos. On P4 and P5, on P4, your damage boosting ultimate is a bad ability to use. And the same applies to Nex to a bit of a less degree. At Nex you don't DS at all, and you have to change up your rotation. Ross as well, but Ross also has other problems, unfortunately.
Did you reckon?
So
what about mechanics like your actual precision in movement, rather than necessarily your spells?
In movement, we already have a lot of mechanics that deal with just like move out of the way and there you go. And like stand at specific spots. I feel like that. Well, to be fair, it is hard to come up with new boss mechanics in Runescape, so I don't fault them for using a lot of movement, mechanics. And what I'm saying here, easier said than done by 100 degrees. Basically, it is far easier to say, okay, I want to see this, and actually delivering upon it. Because with something like RuneScape's combat system, it's very, very hard to make something that requires a lot of reflexes without like making it extremely like annoying or unfair or extremely telegraphed. Like there are two big extremes, and there's like a very tiny, tiny, tiny space of space where you could make a mechanic both fun, engaging, and challenging at the same time. And landing that perfect balance is very, very difficult. So
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe the actual tick system is possibly part of the problem for that in a way. In
Yeah,
the
I
animations have to start at a certain point, and then you've always got a certain length of time to react to it.
Yeah, I would agree with that because, like, if you look at any other action game, they can attack much more quickly, and you can also move quickly. So it's more about reflex instead of just okay, he's gonna do this, and he's gonna do this next, and he's gonna do that next, etc., etc., etc. That's partly how the attack rotations work as well as they do in RuneScape. But I mean, actually, Araxor did what I said about like mixing up specs
Yeah.
and although that does lead into what I said about like how it's both telegraphed and also like uh quick enough to where it's like you can just like know when it's gonna come, and
Yeah,
just like move
it's
out of
always
ways.
after the same number of attacks.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's also like more lenient to a degree and stuff like that.
And obviously, in Rage, you're a fan of it, so
I'm a big fan of it, and I feel like that it gives bosses like so much life even years after all said all said and done. Like Telos still lives on. More people are doing like the 1,000% when even just a year ago that was considered a very much more unapproachable to people, even at the top tier. So I feel like that enrage for future bosses is always a good idea, and maybe a group boss that has enrage or even just difficulty levels as a whole. That would be really interesting to see.
all right, lovely. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to. I don't know if you've got anything that you want to add or discuss, or any shout outs you want to make.
Mm. In terms of, mm, I don't really have anything else to add, but in terms of shouts to my Twitch community for being awesome and just like being consistently funny and cheering me up whenever just feeling a bit like sleepy or annoyed or whatever. I always just become a get in a much better mood after that. Shouts to the Twitch directory in RuneScape for hosting, etc., for supporting me and like helping me get my feet into the streaming scene when I first started in 2018 and all of that. That was like really, really like a really like good opportunity for me to grow in Twitch, which is something that I'll never stop appreciating.
All right.
And um I don't know who else to shout out for. I was thinking of shouting out someone for my YouTube, but shout out to Lady Luck for making my YouTube as good as it is. That's it. It's like my YouTube got as big as it was because of luck more than anything. And being at the right place at the right time.
All right. Well, thank you very much for spending your afternoon with me.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem, dude.
I hope
It's been
you've
a
enjoyed it.
blast.
Good, good, good. Well, I'll see everyone next week with someone new. You'll have to check out for the reveal video in the week. So I hope you've enjoyed
Mhm.
this, and I'll see you later.
Absolutely. All right, see you later,
All right.
guys. Take care.
Bye.